Thanks everyone for joining. We know your time is valuable, and so we might not take the full hour today, but we hope you find a lot of value in the conversation. My name's Nick Manzanotti. I've been in the benefits industry for 10 plus years. The running joke is actually I lost all my hair because of my 10-year history in the benefit space. It's super stressful. Employers spend a ton of money on benefits. They spend a ton of time administering benefits. And the conundrum is you have employees that still don't know how to access their benefits or don't even know what benefits they have. So we're super stoked to talk to you on strategies to help solve for that. Christy?
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Christy Cook, account executive and team lead here at Nava. I'll just play on the hair pun there, Nick. I guess you can see my hair's darker in that picture. I've been in the benefit space over 20 years now, so there's a lot of hair color going on to cover up all the benefit grays. I'm just south of Nashville in Tennessee, but really excited to see so many of you joining from all over the country.
Wonderful.
Let's jump
Yeah,
in.
Christy and I, we're kind of a partner in crime. We work on a lot of groups together, and we'll dive right in here. So we'll touch on workforce demographics, just understanding who you're designing your benefits program for, touch on how to measure engagement, and then taking that engagement data and using it to plan ahead. Next is budgeting. Of course, the money that is involved with benefits is of everyone's utmost concerns. The Affordable Care Act, of course, has increased rates year over year since 2008. It's done some great things, but the con is trying to budget for that. So we'll touch on budgeting and then ways to communicate with your workforce and flexible solutions around your budgeting and different employee demographics that are out there. We'll leave some time at the end then for final takeaways and some Q&A. So without further ado, let's dive right on in. So first, this is a question for the group, and we'll give you about 15 seconds to answer. So if you could please place your response in the chat, that would be great. But what percentage of employees fully understand their benefits?
3%. That's funny.
I like the 0%. That's close. Wonderful. Thanks everyone for your participation. Um, yeah, the answer is 50, which is still crazy. Even though I've been doing this for 10 years, there's still things that I need to rely on ChatGPT for to search up and to fully understand better. But when you look at, again, the conundrum of how much money and time you invest in benefits, and 50% of employees don't fully understand their benefits, that is crazy. And there's a number of sources we got this number from. You can Google it, but that is what we're here to solve. So when you look at understanding who you're designing your benefits program for, we've broken it out into 6 different buckets. The first is industry. So understanding who you're competing against. Benchmarking can help solve for that. So benchmarking your plan against peers similar in size, similar in geographic location, and similar in industry. The second is location. So understanding the cost of living differences. Again, I'm from Ohio. A little bit different when you look at California or New York versus the cost of living in Ohio, and also the cost of care. Provider access when structuring plans. So if you have a nationwide workforce, you're probably going to need to rely on one of the BUCAs, as we define as Blues, United, Cigna, Aetna for your health plan. More regional carriers might not be the best fit. But if you have a population, let's say isolated in Utah, Select Health could be an option, or in Ohio, Medical Mutual of Ohio, or California with Kaiser. You could also offer a national plan alongside one of these more regional networks. So super important to understand where your employees live and what plans fit best for your populations. There's also state-specific compliance requirements, and California being one that has a number of those requirements, New York, Illinois, so just be mindful of those as well. Age, so it's a major factor, probably the number one most important factor in the absence of claims experience is your average age on your health plan. That will help determine the carrier underwriting your risk and also what funding strategy is best for your organization, whether that's being fully insured or looking all the way at reference-based pricing, self-funding, or something more in the middle. And we're going to touch on those funding strategies today. Meanwhile, I see some of the questions in the chat. Christy, if you don't mind monitoring some of those, we might be able to tackle some of those as we go along, but some we might wait for the very end. Cool. And then with generational preferences, you'll look at, for Gen Zers, they really like mobile apps. And even down below. So the new generation, Gen Alpha, big giant question mark there. But if your population's closer to more Gen Xers and baby boomers, so folks approaching that Medicare prep age, there's a whole different messaging and plan strategy that you want to take for those different ages within your population. For gender specific populations, you got to look at the breakdown between male and female. And you can focus on areas like fertility, preventative care, and mental health. I know one thing for male specific populations, we're a little bit more stubborn than females when it comes to mental health. We're having the same issues when it comes to things that happen in life, but we're a little more stubborn when it comes to seeking care. So just being mindful of that. Family structure, offering plans and resources that support both families and individuals, especially with those that have family-heavy populations. Things like structuring your contributions for medical insurance that have affordable health insurance for dependents on the plan. Looking at things such as broader, more global family planning benefits that offer pregnancy benefits, parenting benefits, elder care benefits, and so forth. And last but not least, work style. So are you in office? Are you remote? Are you hybrid? And really looking at that work style structure to roll out the most effective communication strategy to your workforce.
So that's a lot to think about, obviously, when you're trying to figure out how to take your budget and get the most out of it. And great question is, how do you know what your employees want? What are they looking for? Well, the easiest solution is a survey. And this is part of our regular scope here at Nava. When we're onboarding a new client, and also for our existing clients, just to kind of get a fresh pulse on what's going on with their population and how they feel about what is their perception, because one's perception is their own reality, right? So you could be spending a ton of money on, medical, dental, vision, and maybe they want something totally different. So a survey is a great tool. And I'm sure some of you are asking yourself, well, survey fatigue. Everybody has survey fatigue. How do we combat that? So a few tips on that would be to limit the questions to 20 or less. No one wants to take a 50 question survey. I don't want to do 50 of anything, right? And then make the answers multiple choice. We do have a lot of groups that want to have a lot of open-ended text boxes for answers. You open yourself up for the gamut of the wish list when you do that. And it also makes it really challenging to filter the data and get it into a good deliverable that you can then share with your leadership teams and also with your population. And that's another key. To make it a more tangible experience for employees, we suggest coming back with a 1 or 2 page concise deliverable that they can see the answers and see how they responded with their population. And maybe it may open their eyes a little bit to, hey, maybe our benefits are richer than what I thought they were. Maybe I'm asking for too much, or my expectations are off. So we think a survey is a great opportunity to just get a pulse check on your population, and that's something that we do here for all of our clients here at Nava.
Christy, I'm going to +1 you on that. Just real quick. Christy and I have a recent client that went through a survey, and Christy had the brilliant idea of offering a broker-sponsored incentive to employees for completing the survey, which was a simple $50 Amazon gift card. But you would not believe the number of employees that we got to complete the survey just by offering a little incentive, such as a $50 Amazon gift card. So those go a long way when doing the surveys.
Yeah, on that group, we had about 30% participation on the survey, and which sounds low, but the feedback was really, really solid feedback. I would say it was about 90% positive feedback with a lot of really good and reasonable suggestions. And then we provided 6 $50 gift cards. So there were 6 lucky winners, and that just, again, helps kind of combat that survey fatigue and also just pique the interest, get people to read their emails maybe. Okay, What are other ways to kind of gauge your population? There's an app for everything, right? And we know that in this market with brokers and consultants, probably there's every broker out there has some sort of app solution, which is great. The question I would ask you to challenge your consultant with is what feedback am I getting from that in terms of utilization? What kind of questions are coming in from a member support standpoint? So that is almost like a survey built into a tool. So you're able to see, oh, maybe we need more education on billing and EOBs and how to understand those, or maybe we need more education on where to find your member ID. Our app does have the member IDs built in, like a digital ID card. So just a quick plug on that. But yeah, you have to look at all the tools, your surveys, your whether you have a benefits inbox or an app, but really digging into that data and finding a way to slice it up so you can see what messaging you can do around it to kind of shift the landscape a little bit as you head into your open enrollment season and know what messages to target.
Spot on. And to parlay that too with just some of the platforms that are out there in the marketplace, there's going to be essentially an arms race for AI in the benefits broker industry. And so what you're getting here is an exclusive look at our HQ portal, which is launching in August. It's the first of its kind in the industry, and it's truly here to help you shape your benefits strategy. So you can see the question it's asking on the screen, how many employees are enrolling Kaiser Health Plan? And within seconds, it's going to be able to answer any question specific to your health plan. Think of this as an AI powered benefits specialist where you're going to have all plan documents, renewal spreadsheets, things that you used to look for in your email, all at your fingertips. Much more collaborative if you need to work with other stakeholders internally at your organization, CFO, HR, leadership, any other managers that you need to loop in, or if any employees come to you with questions, you're going to be able to have answers right at your fingertips. So it's going to streamline all of this for HR professionals, and it's at no cost to all of our clients.
Hey, this is a timeline of what we feel like your annual relationship should look like with your broker and consultant. It should not just be a month or so before open enrollment, you're engaging and looking at data and they're asking you, oh, do you want to renew as is, or are you okay with a 10% increase? It should be a year-long relationship. So I'd ask you to challenge your brokers and consultants because there's so much work to be done in that kind of 9-month off season, so to speak. That's when you're doing the surveys. That's when you're looking at analytics from an app or your benefits inbox or whatever it may be. You need that time and that runway to gauge your audience and also make a plan for what to do with it. Look at your budget, all those things. So this timeline captures the standard renewal calendar for any broker or what we feel like it should look like. So you're going to be looking at plan enrollment analysis, looking at what happened during open enrollment. That's going to be first. Looking at how your communication strategies, did they work? Did it not work? What could you do different? And also just scheduling out, making a plan in January or February for that entire year. And then early in Q2, doing that employee engagement survey. And sharing that with leadership, getting their buy-in with all the stakeholders, and then go into market if it's the game plan for that year. And then in Q3, you want to execute that renewal strategy, right? So you want to again review your claims experience. Your broker's going to be negotiating on your behalf with alternative carriers and the incumbent. And you're going to outline feasible renewal plans and pricing and get ready to go. And as we go into early Q4, it's showtime, right? It's game time for those of us in the benefits and HR space. So you're going to line on all your initiatives, get all your open enrollment comms customized and ready to go, and really make the most out of that annual opportunity that you have to engage with your population. So many employers really are just focused on open enrollment only. And we really feel like getting at least a nudge, some sort of newsletter, email campaign, an incentive program like the gift card, something to get their attention and help them learn about their benefits throughout the year. So when it does come time for them to need to utilize those, they have more information. They know where to go when they have a claim or when they have a question.
Yeah, great call out, Christy. And I'm going to add a couple of items of color on this slide here. The post-open enrollment results is really key. So like as you go through the renewal conversation, oftentimes you see a spreadsheet with alternative plans and the enrollment counts are exactly the same. Then you devise some sort of strategy of, hey, we're going to tweak our contributions and we hope folks flock to the HSA plan or whatever the case might be. We offered a new plan option. Doing that post open enrollment financial analysis or migration analysis is super important. It'll give you a really clear picture on how effective your communication was throughout the open enrollment timeline. And then the next piece is like oftentimes groups go into that Q3. It's September or October for a January 1st renewal. And groups are just starting to explore captives and all these insurance jargon solutions that are out there, level funding plans, you name it. And it's too little too late. At that point in time, not only does HR need to get caught up to speed, you're looping in other members of your team. It becomes an education process when it should be decision-making time. So starting that early on in Q2, aligning your stakeholders internally, and then allowing your broker to do their work Q3 and being able to make that decision early on is so, so, so important to prep for a successful open enrollment.
Now, let me piggyback on that real quick, Nick. Like, it's never too early to start. So you're going to get pushback from carriers and even some consultants that say, oh, we can't start until the renewal comes in. Well, it seems like every year these fully insured renewals come in later and later. And if you think that's a coincidence, it's not. That's a strategy. And so you should be engaging with your consultant and broker and nudging them to start as early as you want to start, and also really holding those carriers accountable to giving you a timely renewal.
Well said, Christy. Well said.
How many employees choose the wrong plans every year? So we know 50% of them don't know what their benefits are, right? So how many do you that are enrolled on your plans, how many do you think choose the wrong plan, be medical, dental, vision, life, any of them, but make the wrong choice? So if you'll drop that in the chat, so it's not just Nick and I talking and rambling on here. 0, we only have one of each. Well, that makes it easy. I envy you. Sometimes less is more. Over 50%. Too many. I've got a good story for y'all that came up yesterday just to drive this point home.
Too many is a great answer.
Too many. Even if it's one, that's too many, in my opinion. And all the work that our HR leaders do and all your brokers and consultants and carriers are doing, it's a stab in the back to know that someone chose the wrong plan. So we've got to fix that. All right, Nick, what's our answer? 66% choose a wrong plan. So just this week, I have a client with a dental plan with a base and a buy-up. Mainly, the only difference is the buy-up has orthodontia coverage and the base plan does not, and a little bit higher limit on the buy-up. So we had an employee choose the buy-up last year, had kids with braces, and then at open enrollment for January 1st, we had a carrier change, but the plan design didn't change at all. And they weren't paying attention and they elected the base plan and they still have ongoing payments for the orthodontist. So boom, right there. That wrong decision is going to cost her about $1,500. That could have been partially paid at 50% if she had just clicked the other button and during open enrollment and chosen the buy-up plan. So huge problem.
There are, and to add on to that, there are a number of technology tools in the market, mobile app friendly, that walk employees through their plan options, HMO, PPO, HDHP. They also can pull in engagement data and utilization data. So we know exactly how much that employee has met towards their deductible and out-of-pocket cost of the year. Then the employee can adjust by plugging in how many times they expect to see the doctor, how many prescription drugs they take, and within a series of questions in 2 to 3 minutes, a platform will recommend a plan to that employee. Now, we don't have a crystal ball. It's simply an estimation, but it's based on the answers and the utilization of that specific employee. So know that there are those solutions out there to help an employee pick the best plan.
Yeah, I see Amy dropped a comment in here saying that she has employees telling her that that the options are too expensive. I would just have to say that's a little bit of a lazy response that you're getting from those employees. Are they considering their health benefits, their employer sponsored benefits in the same fashion they would buying a TV or buying a new car? Are they really thinking about their budget? Are they thinking about what last year looked like or what the year coming is going to look like? The answer is no, which is resulting in this 66% because those that didn't choose them, that actually need them, they're in this category, right? They chose nothing, and that was the wrong choice, most likely for them. At least if they're not choosing any of the benefit plans, because I need all of them, right? I need medical, dental, life, vision, all of those things. So yeah, it's a sad thing that we're trying to address, and we're going to talk about communication methods here in a moment. But just meeting your population where they are is key to try to drive home the key messages you want for open enrollment.
That's a great call out. And there are some workarounds to that. They're not always ideal. They can be a little bit clunky, but whether it's buying, a less rich HDHP plan and masking it with an employer sponsored HRA, also layering on top voluntary benefits such as accident, critical illness, and cancer policies that pay a stipend for folks that if you simply need the insurance for catastrophic coverage and you would never reach the out-of-pocket max unless you had something catastrophic happen, you have those voluntary coverages in place. So there are some workarounds to hopefully reduce costs, but still provide that coverage in the event of an emergency and they really, really need the coverage.
Yeah, and to that point, if this individual that says they're not buying them because they're too expensive, well, we all need to have our teeth cleaned at a minimum, and we all need to go to get our preventive care. So by choosing the lowest cost option that's available for those two, we'll save that employee money and also make sure they're getting the preventive care they need to avoid the catastrophic claims that Nick's referring to.
Yeah, Amy, we can certainly help. We'll connect with you afterwards. Cool. Let's go to the next slide. There we go. So budgeting and flexibility and fit for all. And I apologize if there is a siren going on in the background. Good to go. Okay. So we're going to start with funding models. And we totally understand that most smaller employers subsidize the rest of the marketplace. You're subsidizing Medicare and Medicaid. You're subsidizing larger employers who are completely self-funded, who don't buy insurance from commercial insurance companies. So per capita, per employee, smaller employers defined as under 100 pay the majority of healthcare costs in this country. So we understand you are completely limited when it comes to funding options in the market, that self-insuring might not be an option for you, and that there are age-banded rates, but some other solutions in the marketplace. But as you continue to grow and scale, and it's your broker's job to be as creative as they can possibly get on this, there are a number of self-funding solutions, so fully self-funded all the way to stepping your toes into self-funding world that may make sense for your organization. That one, reduce cost, and two, provide better benefits to employees, and three, give you transparency into the flow of dollars within your health plan. As most of you may be familiar with, you typically pay a premium, and the carrier doesn't share much information about how much of that premium they're paying out in claims. It's the only industry, at least to my knowledge, in the world where you buy something and you don't really know what you're getting in return. So different funding models can help you accomplish that data transparency, lower cost, and better benefits. Cost sharing strategy. So this is how you split the premium with your employees. One of the most drastic examples, and I know Christy has a lot of experience talking clients out of this arrangement, is companies wanting to provide really rich benefit to employees. I'll use myself as an example. If you gave me a $1,000 PPO Cadillac health plan and covered the majority of the premium, you are buying me a Ferrari to drive in 2 feet or 4 feet of snow. It'll never get used. You are over-insuring me as an employee. It's a great benefit, but is that best use of your benefits dollars? You're sending a whole bunch of premium to the carrier for a benefit that I really can't tap into. There's a much better way to rearrange the flow of dollars to, one, reduce costs for the employer, but to give me or any of your employees a much higher valued sense of your benefit program. Things like a higher HSA contribution, things like lower employee contributions, things like lifestyle spending accounts, which Chris is going to touch on here at the end of the call. But that's a broker's job to help you figure out what is the best way to spend, the 10 or 20,000 or however much money you spend a year on benefits for your employees without compromising your financial goals. And then smarter spend decisions. So again, getting as much data as you possibly can. on your benefit plan, whether that be from the carrier, so claims and utilizations, whether that be from survey data, whether that be through a mobile app such as the Nava Benefits app, data on how employees engage in your plan. Health insurance seemingly is one of the only areas of a business, and it's the typically second or third thing on your P&L expense wise, where you really don't have a lot of data to drive your decisions. So get as much data of that as you can and reinvest into certain programs like mental health support or family friendly programs that your employees actually desire. Awesome. And I see we'll answer that question here at the end, Bill. It's a great question. And you as well, Amy. So many of you, there's a lot of insurance jargon out there. You've probably heard a lot of these. There's synonymous terms, level funding. It's a fixed premium program, right? People can throw out a lot of terms for these type of arrangements. Just know you have fully insured all the way through reference-based pricing. And these are not all going to make sense for your organization, but the best kind of pathway, the way we think about viewing these is each year your broker should be turning over every stone and considering alternate funding for your organization. From a fully insured standpoint, I'll throw out the BUCAs, Blues, United, Aetna, Cigna. Do yourself a favor, go Google Cigna, Google Aetna, Google United Healthcare, and look at their stock price since 2008. Why 2008? That's when the Affordable Care Act went intact. Every stock price goes up vertically, and there's no end in sight. What they call revenue, you call premium. And there's medical loss ratio requirements to where each and every year, regardless of how much they pay out in terms of claims, you're going to get a renewal increase. So the only way to avoid this year-over-year renewal increase is to consider these alternate funding arrangements. Noting that the smaller organization that you are, the tougher it is to explore these type of arrangements. All right. Question time again for the group. And I promise we're viewing all the questions in the chat. We are going to tackle these at the end. But what percent of employers only communicate benefits during open enrollment versus doing it throughout the course of the year?
$60, $90, $75, $80.
We got a bigger group alignment on the answer.
Onboarding, good point. I feel like there's a lot of employers that aren't even focusing on benefits during onboarding. It's another missed opportunity.
Totally. I've seen some of the onboarding one-pagers you put together, KC, and they're amazing. But those one-page onboarding benefit sheets are gold for a new hire or a potential candidate. All right. We had a lot of great answers in here. The answer is 50%. And so you look at, there's a huge missed opportunity here. This should be a year-round annual communication campaign and meeting your employees where they're at. So whether it's text, email, town halls, in-person events at your office space, on Slack, we'll touch on these all in a few slides.
Yep. So not to beat a dead horse, but I'll just say again and tack on to what you said, Nick, that comms should be tackled throughout the entire year, through every medium, because almost every workforce is going to have some combination of these various generations. You know, the millennials are good with Slack. They're good with video. They don't really want to deal with any more email, right? And then we've got our Gen Alphas. We don't know what the heck they want. These are our screenagers, right? That if it's not on the screen, they're not paying attention. And if it's not a game on their screen, maybe they're not even paying attention. But just trying to meet the population where they are, regardless of their generation. So no one's penalized for how they like to communicate. And this is one question that we always include in the benefit surveys. How would you like for your HR team to communicate with you? What works best for you? That one is crucial. So you know what kind of comms do you need? How often do you need them? Let's see, what else, Nick, on this? Just it's the basic, it's more than a benefit guide. It's not just the benefit guide. That's critical, but there's more to it than that. And there's so many opportunities to do newsletters and more That's what I'm looking for. A faster cadence to communications.
Spot on, Christy. Yeah, I think I'll hit home on a few things on this slide of like, here's one prime example. Slack. We are a Slack organization at Nava. A lot of brokers have Slack. We have connected with our clients on Slack. We tell the HR team, if you prefer to communicate with us on Slack, you never have to send us an email again. We also have set up a Slack channel for open enrollment. So yes, we have a group chat going on this Zoom webinar right now, but that group chat goes bye-bye at the end of the call. So if you set up a Slack channel, you can also have employees in there asking questions during your open enrollment sessions, and employees can refer back to that as they make their elections throughout the open enrollment period. So we also do in-person events. Those are super beneficial. I feel like it's gotten lost in translation, but of course, a lot of folks on a webinar might not be the most attentive to the presentation at hand. So double dipping, doing webinars, doing in-person events. And then of course, understanding your generations. This is a big generalization as well. The X for Gen Xers and Boomers on Slack necessarily isn't an X for everyone, but you look at, for example, Gen Zers, they really don't like to be in person. They really like their technology. So just understanding that as you're trying to communicate with your population.
Oh, lifestyle spending accounts. Awesome. I've been waiting for this one. This is one of my favorites. So, you do your benefit survey, and if you happen to do one, like I said, with an open-ended text box, you're going to get everything from caregiver benefits to tuition reimbursement, gym membership, and everything in between. So what do? You can't do a point solution for every single little thing, even if you have a large percent of your population advocating for those benefits. So lifestyle spending accounts are the solution. Obviously, you have to have a budget for it, but to Nick's point earlier, maybe providing that really rich PPO plan is not meaningful to your employees. And if it's not meaningful, you're wasting all that money. What could be more meaningful to them is maybe your really healthy gym membership stipend, or help with childcare, or help with infertility benefits, wellness, well-being, all the things. So obviously you don't want to administer all those benefits. So this is kind of a one-stop shop for just giving let's say it's $50 a month, $100 a month, but your employees can then go and choose how they use those funds. And you can set it up as the employer, you can decide what is eligible. So you don't have to include every one of these categories, the gym memberships, the child care, continuing education. You can pick and choose. And then the administrator of that plan then does all the legwork from there. But this is just a great way to, if you're going to do a survey, you have somebody to put in that, you've done your budget research, the analytics, and you can do it. This is a way to do it without having to administer a bunch of plans.
Spot on. And we're wrapping it up here. So last but not least, this is going to be just kind of like an intuitively known thing, but rinse and repeat. This is not like a once every 3 year type deal. This is doing it every single year and relying on a broker partner to do that. This should not be HR's job. This should be your benefit broker's job. So plan, implement, measure, adjust, get your hands on as much data, ask your employees how they feel about your benefit plan, understand your budget, understand what fits in your budget, and then revise and repeat on an annual cadence. Thank you, everyone. This chat looks like several questions in here. We're going to attempt to go through and try to answer these question by question.
Yeah, the first one, Nick, was will we be able to share the presentation? I don't know the answer to that. Do you know?
I believe the answer is yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Autumn.
And then Amy, you're saying your organization is maybe too small for Nava. Just ping Nick and myself. I dropped our emails in the chat. Even if you are too small, we're happy to just geek out with you for a few minutes on benefits, and you can pick our brains about what we've seen that's worked well for clients your size in your area with your demographic.
Spot on. And I'll give you a little bit more detail on that end. Our typical minimum is about 20 employees or 25 employees. If we are not a fit for you at this time, we have a number of partners, trusted partners that take really good care of smaller organizations. And we understand, and I have a soft spot in my heart for organizations that are smaller on the employee count size, just because I understand the poor service that you might get or experience in the marketplace. So there is a home for you. We are more than happy to be that segue. So please reach out to either Christy or I, and we can help you out with that.
And then Bill just called out, the comment about tech bots, and a big miss for brokers and consultants is not having teams built with seasoned support teams. So Bill, I'll take that. And I know Nick will want to piggyback on what I say. I am a white glove service kind of girl. I expect it when I spend money on things like at Xfinity and Verizon, and United Airlines is one today that's giving me a hard time. Um, I expect that, and then I want to give that in return. I want to treat people the way I want to be treated. So white glove service at Nava is top priority. So while we are invested in tech and we are leaning into AI, because that is the way of the future, it's never going to replace the human element of our white glove service. And so if you're not getting that and feeling that from your current broker and consultant, I would encourage you to push for it or look elsewhere, because you should be receiving it. It's the number 2 or number 3 line item on your expenses as an employer and an organization, and you should be getting the service you deserve. But we definitely are leaning into AI. We're seeing it really do some cool stuff for us on our client success team, as well as for our clients, just making our jobs easier. And we want to share that with our clients and our HR team so that anything that the AI can help with, make your job easier, lift things off your desk and out of your inbox. We want to share those tools with you.
Spot on. And I'll piggyback just off that. One last item on that front, a few items on that front is a lot of brokers have an outsourced call center in a foreign country. I'll say that I'll just talk about Nava because given, we're a little bit biased here, but we have W-2 advocates on our team on standby to support your employees with escalated issues. Since launching AI support about 6 months ago, it's been able to answer 60% of benefit questions and provides 24/7 access for things on, let's say, Saturday night or Sunday morning on the weekends when our team is not on standby Monday through Friday. Also, our AI support will ask prerequisite questions that will escalate or at least improve our speed to a resolution. A prime example is a billing issue with a carrier or a provider. If an employee receives a bill in the mail, our AI support will ask the employee to send us a picture of the explanation of benefits that includes the name of the provider, the data service, and the amount. That gives all our advocate team everything they need to call the provider, to call the carrier, and to work on a quicker resolution to get back to that employee. Otherwise, a human being would have to pick up the ticket, respond, asking for that picture of an explanation of benefits. And so it just delays the process a little bit. So we're tapping into AI to speed up the resolution time, and not for employees to have to talk to a robot, but to help our W-2 employees best serve our clients and their workforces. But totally hear you on losing the human element. I believe if I had a crystal ball, a lot of brokers are moving away from, hey, we're not a call center. They're tapping into AI. Typically, it's a third party. It could be an outsourced call center in a foreign country. Find yourself a broker that has an advocate team that are in-house employees of that brokerage firm and that do not charge you a per employee per month fee for that advocacy service. That should be a service that's all inclusive of the current cost that you pay your broker. Good call out, Bill.
And I'll add on to what Nick said. We are using AI, but it's the intent there is to get faster responses as long as the AI tool can answer the question. It's smart enough to know and intuitive enough to know that the question is too complex for it, and it will then connect the person with member support and then a human, and then set the expectation for the turnaround time. But we're not replacing the human element. It's just trying to get responses faster, and using AI has not decreased the customer satisfaction for our end users. Our NPS score is still, holding constant even with the AI. So that's promising as well.
All great questions. Well, I'm sure there might be a few questions that brew after this webinar. Our emails are on the screen. You can find us on LinkedIn as well. We pride ourselves on quick response times. If we don't answer, don't respond quickly, we're likely in a meeting and we'll get back to you right after that. But thank you so much for joining us. And I believe, Bill, we have another question here.
Hey, you 100%, Bill. You're right.
Spot on.
Yeah, that's
Spot
not
on.
us. We're trying to hire and retain the best talent in the industry across the country and lean into AI to make our work and our clients' work more efficient. But we're definitely not replacing the human element.
Yeah, it's a great call out. Yeah, one more item on that. I'm brewing with a number of thoughts on this piece is like, we really want a broker. This goes for any broker, should be meeting you where you're at. I gave an example earlier of Slack. We literally have established external Slack channels with our clients, and they tell us it's the greatest way to communicate with you guys. We can utilize an emoji to show them that we see their message. We have our dedicated Nava team, which is always deep for all of our clients, anywhere from 3 to 5 Nava team members in that channel with that client, serving them best and getting quick answers to all of their questions.
Yeah, I love external Slack channels with clients. I have two. Wish all of my clients had it. It just cuts back on the email inbox volume. I don't know what it is about a Slack message that's so much better than an email. Love communicating via email, but it's just so much quicker. Like Nick said, the emojis, like, hey, eyeballs, I saw it. And once you gain trust with that person, they know that you've got it and you'll circle back when you have an answer. So it saves us a lot of time here at Nava.
Don't get that lost with, we're still accessible by phone. We're still accessible by
Absolutely.
email, like all
Absolutely.
forms of communication. So, well,
Nick and
thank
I do
you.
not, we do not hide our email addresses or our cell phone numbers. They are in every email signature that you get from us, as they should be.
Well, thank you everyone for joining. This is hopefully you found a lot of value in this. We could probably go down a rabbit hole on the majority of the slides that we covered in the last 45 minutes. So if you have questions after, reach out. But thank you for joining and have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Take care.